When you think of American subway systems, cities like New York, Chicago, or Boston probably come to mind. But what if I told you that Rochester, New York, once had its very own subway system? Built in the 1920s and operating for nearly 3 decades, it aimed to modernize the city's transportation network and repurpose the old Erie Canal bed that once ran straight through downtown. Today, most people have no idea it ever existed, but the story of the Rochester subway is a fascinating one. In the early 20th century, Rochester was a booming industrial city. It was home to major companies like Kodak, Bosch & Lomb, and Gleason Works, and its population was rapidly growing. But with that growth came a familiar problem for many American cities: traffic congestion. Adding to the challenge was the Erie Canal. For nearly a century, the canal had run directly through the center of Rochester, serving as a vital transportation route for goods and passengers. But by the early 1900s, the canal had become obsolete. Commercial shipping had largely shifted to railroads and highways, and the canal's narrow waterways and numerous bridges had become obstacles to the city's development. In response, state officials decided to reroute the Erie Canal south of the city, leaving behind a wide, empty canal bed running through downtown. Instead of letting it go to waste, Rochester's leaders saw a unique opportunity: convert the abandoned canal trench into a modern subway system. It was believed the subway would provide several key benefits to the city. In addition to offering a cross-town commute for residents in the northwest and southeast parts of Rochester, the subway would also serve as a beltline, connecting the 5 major freight railroads that pass through the city. Railroads which, until then, have operated independently without direct links. This connection would streamline freight movement and improve industrial logistics. On top of that, interurban trolleys, electric streetcars that connected Rochester to nearby towns, would be rerouted into the subway, helping to reduce traffic congestions on the increasingly crowded city streets. Construction of the Rochester subway began in 1922, just a few years after the Erie Canal was officially rerouted. The project made use of the old canal bed, which conveniently cut through the heart of the city, reducing the need for expensive land purchases or new excavation. The original plan called for a 7-mile route, stretching from Rowlands on the city's eastern edge to a General Motors plant on the west side. The line would pass beneath downtown Rochester, with several underground stations along the way and a section of open-air track on either end. Work crews faced a number of challenges during construction, including stabilizing the old canal walls and building new infrastructure to support both passenger, platforms, and freight sidings. Despite the difficulties, the project moved relatively quickly, fueled by public enthusiasm and the promise of a more modern, efficient city. The first section of the Rochester subway officially opened for passenger service on December 1st, 1927. In the years that followed, additional sections were completed, and interurban railroads began running their trolleys through the system. At its peak, the subway featured a mix of underground and surface level stations, serving both local commuters and long-distance travelers. But what made the Rochester subway unique was how it seamlessly blended passenger service with industrial and freight operations. The subway's beltline design allowed the city's 5 major freight railroads, which previously had no direct connections, to interchange goods through a single, shared corridor. This helped streamline freight traffic, reducing congestion in busy rail yards and improving efficiency for local industries. Additionally, the subway became a crucial link for interurban trolley lines. Electric streetcars from neighboring towns like Buffalo, Syracuse, and Geneva would descend into the subway to avoid Rochester's crowded streets, making stops downtown before continuing on their route. This not only eased traffic congestion on the surface, but also made travel between Rochester and surrounding communities faster and more reliable. At its peak, the system handled both regular commuters and factory workers heading to major employers like Kodak and General Motors. During the Second World War, when gasoline rationing limited automobile use, the subway saw a brief resurgence in ridership as public transit became an essential service for the city's workforce. Like many American transit systems, the Rochester subway success was ultimately short-lived. After World War II, the rise of the automobile fundamentally changed the way people and goods moved around the city. As car ownership soared and new highways were constructed, public transit ridership steadily declined. By the late 1940s and early 50s, many of the interurban trolley lines that once used the subway were shutting down, victims of shrinking passenger numbers and mounting operational costs. Freight traffic on the subway also decreased as industries found more efficient ways to move goods by truck and on newer rail routes outside the city. At the same time, maintaining the subway system had become an increasingly financial burden for the city. Aging infrastructure, coupled with dwindling revenues, made it difficult to justify the cost of continued operation. In 1954, city officials made the decision to discontinue passenger service. The final passenger train ran on June 30th, 1956, marking the end of nearly 3 decades of subway operations in Rochester. Shortly afterward, the remaining freight services were also phased out, and parts of the system were filled in, paved over, or repurposed for other uses. It was a quiet end to what had once been seen as a bold and visionary project, a casualty of changing times and shifting priorities in mid-century America. Today, most of the Rochester subway is gone. After its closure in the 50s, large portions of the tunnel were filled in or repurposed. Part of the old route became new roads, parking lots, and highway interchanges as the city adapted to an automobile-centered future. But if you know where to look, traces of the subway still remain. Sections of the original tunnel can still be found beneath Broad Street, particularly near the old Court Street station site. For years, these abandoned tunnels became a popular spot for urban explorers, photographers, and graffiti artists, drawn to the eerie, decayed remnants of Rochester's forgotten underground. One of the most notable surviving features is the Broad Street Aqueduct, a historic stone bridge that once carried the Erie Canal over the Genesee River and later served as part of the subway route. In recent years, parts of the aqueduct have been restored, and discussions about how to repurpose the remaining subway infrastructure have periodically resurfaced. Proposals have ranged from public art installations to waterfront parks and cultural spaces, though as of now, no major redevelopment projects have come to fruition. Still, for those who know its history, the story of the Rochester subway endures, a fascinating reminder of the city's ambitions and how the forces of progress can both build and bury the past. And that is the story of the Rochester subway. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. If you have any suggestions for a video, please drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.